What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with yet another album review, and today I am talking about the new offering from Cryptosis, Celestial Death. This also came out on March 7th, this time on Century Media Records, and this is the band's second studio full-length overall. This is a Dutch progressive thrash metal band, although I would also say technical thrash metal as well. This is my first time checking this band out. The only thing I know about them is that their drummer Marco is also the drummer of Inaphilion, which is a great new supergroup of black metal, and also he's currently the live drummer of Skeletal Remains. And I always knew this band was around, but I never listened to them until now. Well, how was my first experience with Celestial Death? Well, pretty much short, sweet, to the point in terms of like what you're getting on here. You're getting tons of dissonance, lots of atonal riffs, wild tremolo melodies, some blast beats, a lot of thrash, lots of technical guitars. Occasionally it gets very progressive, and big epic synths and mellotron all throughout. After you get through the pointless introduction, we get into Faceless Matter, and immediately a big melody, wild tremolos on top of thrashy riffs and rhythm. And a lot of the melodies, really across the board on this album, are sinister and evil sounding for the most part. There's also some like really cool proggy shifts and just overall wild guitars. Absolutely wild guitars. Even a dissonant breakdown comes in, which there's not that many breakdowns to really pick out on this album, if you ask me. As well as even lead work. Like, there's not a whole lot of solos on here. You get like 2 true blue solos on Faceless Matter, and then later on in the track In Between Realities. And then you get on a couple of tracks like Ascending and Reign of Infinite, some like lead melodies, but not very many like true blue guitar solos. But then we get into tracks like Static Horizon and Ascending. Both of them kind of start off pretty similar with like a big galloping rhythm and tremolo riffs or tremolo melodies. But with Static Horizon, it gets more into the technical side of their sound, and also there's more atonal melodies going on. And even also with Ascending, both songs get into like double time madness, but Static Horizon is a bit different because there's a little bit more groove going on and there's some somber melodies that show up, whereas with Ascending, it's just mostly like blunt force trauma, double time insanity. The Silent Call, more dissonance really comes in, like big dissonant riffs and blast beats. Even gets borderline blackened with a lot of the tremolos and some of the melodies that come in. It kind of gets a little bit into the black metal vein of things. There's even like a triplet chug, which not that many triplets. Like here and maybe in Absent Presence, you get like a triplet swing. But I do like where towards the end of the Silent Call, it gets a little bit more progressive, a little bit more lavish. And then Reign of the Infinite, I actually thought the opening on this track was one of the best in terms of how it starts, with sinister tremolo riffs and tribal drums. And then it gets into the big thrash gallop, and then of course those like atonal riffs that remind you a lot of bands like Voivod, for example. Like, there's some Voivod moments here, but I gotta say the big band I can hear comparisons to is Vector. And I mean a lot of Vector. But then in Absent Presence, starts off with like a clean atonal melody, and it's a little slower, it's almost doomy. And there's even like a big tremolo melody and triplet swing happening like I brought up earlier. In Between Realities, while thrashy, you get a lot more chug going on with the guitars, more dissonance, and it just overall creates this more aggressive yet darker sounding song. Cryptosphere, this is where the technicality really shines, like big technical riffs, gallops, thrashy rhythms, blast beats, tremolos. It gets atonal, obviously. more like proggy off-time sections, and just overall, it's a very furious, powerful song. And then the closer, Coda in Wander into Light, was just this big like outro track. It's pretty doomy and with somber melodies on top. So yeah, there was not a whole lot to talk about because, it was just going for like technical riffs, lots of dissonance, lots of atonal melodies, but still retaining some thrash in there, but also adding in new uh, ingredients to the recipe, you could say. Now, I do have one glaring issue with this album, and it's in the production and the mix. Principally in the first half of the album, there's a lot of like synths and mellotron going on. And while they sound really cool, it kind of helps give it this more epic yet more evil atmosphere. It did in the first half of the album overpower the guitars. There will be times, especially on Faceless Matter, where I could barely hear the guitars because the synths just overpowered everything. But as the album progresses, the mix somehow balances out a little bit more. So it makes me wonder what the hell happened on the first half where the mix was just really off. And it does drag this album down quite a bit for me because I could tell there was probably some really cool riffs that you'd want to hear full tilt, but you couldn't in the beginning because the synths and the mellotron just dropped its weight too much onto the guitars. It should have been like even push pull dynamic, and it just didn't happen until we got more towards the end of the album. So unfortunately, that's going to drag this album's score down to a 3.5. It originally was probably going to be a 4. However, because of the imbalance in the mix, it's going to go down a half step. But musically, this album is still really good for the most part. So yeah, 3.5. I would say the bands, if you like Vector, Coroner, Voivod, maybe even Revocation, I'd say give it a listen. It's still pretty good. It's just, I wish the mix was better. But of course, those are just my opinions. What did you guys think? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. But until next time, thank you for watching, keep your horns high, and your dreams wet.